Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here with session number 13 of this campaign of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition set in the world of Momentum, entitled Whispers and Fragments. This session will be called Loose Ends, and I'm very, very excited to get back into this after a little bit of a hiatus. We were supposed to have a session in January, but a few of us ended up not feeling very well, so here we are now 2 months later since the last time we got together and played. And last session was a little crazy. There was a lot of explosions and things falling apart and wild dwarves that were doing their best to kill one another. It was a lot of fun. So I'm very, very anxious to kind of get into the aftermath of all of that. But before we do so, I do want to go ahead and give the same warning I give every time. If bad language and poor humor and mature topics are something that bothers you, this is not the game nor the channel for you. I wouldn't watch. So I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can do introductions, say hello, plug whatever they would like to plug, and then we can get this ball rolling. So first up, Jake.
Excuse me. Hey, internets, it's Jake, also known as Mini Terrain Domain. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch under that name. The only thing I'm going to plug is Thursday nights, because that's where you can find our handsome dungeon master joining me and some others in our Dawnbringers weekly D&D game.
Positively. I'm very, very, very much looking forward to getting into that tomorrow night. It's been an incredible few last sessions, especially, and that story and those characters are very dear to me, so I'm excited. All right, next up we have Alan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alan, and you can find me on social media at CFTRPG. You can catch me over on the Mini Terrain Domain Twitch channel on Fridays, running a Cursive Strahd campaign, going strong. I think we're on our 19th session next week. Love playing with that crew. Love playing with this crew too. Excited to get back into Haroon, the Elven Paladin. And yeah, just really excited to play. So
Glad to have you back, Alan. Always a pleasure to have you on the channel, sir. All right, next up we have Lloyd.
Hello, I'm Lloyd. I run the YouTube channel YaldM. I wrote a book called Discloft, which you can get on Drive Through RPG. And I'm real happy to be back at this, particularly to get back to our characters after like the insane fun of playing the death-seeking dwarves last time. But really hyped to get back to it.
Yeah, very much so. You guys made that whole race come to life. I'm really glad that you guys agreed to play some of the NPCs and had a lot of fun with it. All right, next up we have Austin.
I'm super happy to be back here. I have nothing to plug and really nothing to add, but really excited to get back into the game. It's been a little too long. And that last session was effing insane and one of the most fun things I've ever done. So,
Greatly appreciate that, sir. And you have plenty to add, I promise. All right. Last, but certainly not least, if his mic is working, I hope so. We're going to give it a test here. Jeff.
Should be working, theoretically. Hello, I'm Jeff. I am 1/3 of Tabletop Terrors, which you can find me there if you're interested. Going to be running a game next Thursday, actually, doing a game in the world of the Dragon Ball universe. So that should be a lot of fun. Check that out if you're keen in seeing that. But otherwise, as the other said, keen to get back into this one. Last session was a fun break from Darian and from the sort of serious role play that this game usually has. But I'm looking forward to getting back to that now in this one.
I'm sure everything will be perfectly fine. There won't be any issues or complications that will arise from what happened last time. Okay, so unless anybody has any questions, we can go ahead and get started. Pictures. Picture pages, picture pages. Come on, paint your picture pages. It has now been nearly 30 days since the long night descended. This summer's winter was thankfully not too harsh as of yet, despite the cold taking its toll. Although the oppressiveness of the month-long darkness was lessened somewhat, here among the spell-light of the dreaming city, for many, its distractions turned mere entertainment to vice. For some, even their religion became more than just a solace for their soul. Fear and doubt over the ever-lengthening of the world's cycles was gaining ground, and the rumors that the sun may never return were becoming more than just a whisper. We find ourselves still in Arinivat, the dreaming city, bathed in the myriad glow of the various illusory spells that are intended for entertainment and commerce here in the sprawling elven city. Called the Dreaming City, or, depending on who you ask, the Nightmare City. Arinivat has everything in excess. The five of you have come here and have settled in somewhat. Even catching a show one night. But most recently, Katya has competed in a street race, an incredibly dangerous activity that's undertaken by these individuals driving ether-powered carriages. They're very unwieldy, very volatile, and not much liked by the majority of the populace of the city. But this group of dwarves, mainly dwarves, who are kind of dangerous themselves. You know, they're covered with these Colossiah bone ridges and spikes and protruding bone and plate on their bodies and their faces. You believe them to belong to a cult known as the Throes of Sunset. And in getting involved in this race, the hope was that you would be able to build a rapport with them. So on the tail end of Katya winning this street race, when the five of you get back together immediately after, what's going on? What is that conversation like?
I imagine Katya is pure adrenaline and just recounting every moment of the race. At least as far as she remembers it, which is already becoming greatly embellished. And she's not even talking to anybody in particular, I imagine, just to the group as a whole, and probably walking slightly ahead, just gesturing wildly, and just talking nonstop.
Okay. So Katya is going on and on about this race as if none of you saw any of it. Though I'm sure. Well, let's touch on that. During this street race, where were the four of you? What were you doing?
Think like Ingrid would have been watching and also trying not to look. Like would have been quite concerned about what was happening, and then seeing like the insane explosions and things like that would have just been like, praying that it would all work out and that the magic would help in some way and that Katya would be okay. So I think she'd be very stressed and glad to see Katya when she returns.
Yeah, I imagine Darian would have started out watching as well. With how much ground the race covered, I imagine it'd be impossible to actually see the entirety of it. You probably have to just sit at one part of the track and see what happens then. But then after kind of seeing the initial start, would probably go with Ingvarad to make sure that the people were alive and in one piece on the other side of it by the end of it. I'm sure trying to like get over to where we could meet them at the end if it were possible.
Yeah, you guys can see that the Arinivat guard are starting to kind of close in from a few different directions, trying to figure out what in the hell's just happened. There's been an extreme commotion, a lot of damage. Several people are injured, if not a few fatalities from some of the crashes and things that happened at the end of this race.
I guess like considering that Ingvar would be keen to get us out of here so that we're not like questioned or in trouble or whatever. And so maybe like as Katya's like, and then this happened, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, great, excellent, okay. And she's just like herding her sort of in the direction away from the crowds and stuff, away into like a back alley and the rest of them as well.
Remind me, were the rest of us non-Katya people keen of the fact that this person, one of the other riders, was the person that we were trying to get information with and get close to? Because if so, Darian would want to make sure that that person was in the roundup. I think Katya was already near them after healing them or something like that, or at least helping them, if I remember correctly. So Darian would want to make sure that we don't just finish the race and leave forgetting the entire reason that we did it.
Was that information that Katya shared with everyone? I know Darian at least was privy to it.
Honestly, I think after the adrenaline of the race, for the moment, Katya's completely forgotten that was the whole point. So unless Darian brings it up, or somebody brings it up, Katya.
Darian absolutely would bring it up of like, hey, that guy over there, is he the person? Because we should leave now and he should come with us.
No, he didn't win. I won. It wasn't him. Were you not even listening to what I was just saying? I'll start at the beginning.
This dwarf's bemoans under the pain of the accident that he was in.
Oh yeah, that guy.
I guess I'll approach him and I'll put my hand on his shoulder and I'll cure him. Like confuse him with. Should have had dice ready. Like 11 hit points. And sort of like maybe he'll feel a little bit better when I put my hand on him and say, we wouldn't mind having a chat with you if you don't mind. We're friends of the winner.
You are... yes, help me get out of here. He starts, like, trying to undo some of the straps and panels and things that seem to have collapsed in on him.
Yeah, I guess Ingrid is, like, pretty strong, so she'll, like, pull one of them out of the car and then try to pull him out as well.
I imagine this isn't the first time Darian's helped somebody else escape from incoming guards as well, so he'll gladly leap in and get to work.
And with several of you helping and him trying to do his best to get himself unstuck as well, he manages to pull himself out of the wreckage of this ether carriage. And once his boots hit the ground, Darian, you get the feeling that you're probably not the only one in the situation who is who is not used to escaping from incoming guards. He very quickly says, this way, come! And he kind of motions and turns and ducks down an alley.
As we start to head off, Bastrad will say a quick prayer quietly and just cast Pass Without Trace on our group, just in case.
Okay. So, as you cast this spell on the group of you, and you guys kind of disappear down these kind of winding alleyways and such, what does it look like, Bastrad, whenever there's a close call from a cluster of these Arinivat guards that almost spot you, but your spell is what makes the difference? What does that look like?
It's like the wind is carrying with us an aura of luck, where these small chance and coincidence pieces fall into the perfect placement. So, as a guard, we begin to run down an alleyway, and there's a street opening at the other side. And as a guard is just about to round that corner, it's just the moment that someone decided to snatch a purse, and a woman screams out for help. And the guard turns his head, and then a little later down the road, it's even more obtuse as the guards seem like they're kind of converging on one spot that we're just about to have to pass through, but something seems like what am I trying to say? They like see like a cat jump out of a garbage can and think like, oh, never mind, that's what we were looking at. It's just these like small chance coincidences that seem to stop them from looking at.
After the third or fourth such narrow call, this dwarf, who Katya and Darian at least would know, goes by the name of Kazan. He looks to you and says, "Our Zarkun is looking out for you. You seem to have an incredible amount of luck on your side."
It's best to make your own luck.
Indeed. He kind of looks over at Katya, kind of with a mild, not upset, but you can tell his pride is probably wounded a bit, that this young newcomer managed to best him in the race. The hounds in the back alleys call, moving you further down your trail, and you you manage to finally get to a spot where Kazan seems to relax. He kind of looks both ways and then moves across the alleyway to what looks like a set of cellar doors. He walks over to them and bangs on it in a pattern and waits. There's no answer, and he kind of looks to each of you. "We must be the first ones here. We should wait over here." He points to a small collection of crates and barrels once you're kind of tucked out of the way, he looks at you, Katya. Where did you learn to drive an Aesir carriage?
It was what, maybe pretty much when I started the race.
You're serious?
I'd never even seen one of these things before we came to this city. I didn't even know such things existed.
Well, the statement I made about Arzarkun stands. He certainly smiles upon you. You travel with, varied company. He kind of looks over all of you.
We don't always get to choose who our family is.
Very true. Well, you won. Fair and square as far as I could tell. I'm sure the purse will be very handsome. I think you will be pleased. So, why...
Wait, there's money?
He kind of like rubs his temples.
What if we didn't know there was money, and so it's no real loss to us? So what if you told us something? We're looking for some very particular people, and they've been quite difficult to find.
So you are offering to give me the winnings in exchange for information?
Well, that would depend upon the quality of the information that you give. She'll say quickly before Katya can say anything.
But you do not understand yet the quality of the purse.
It must be sizable based upon your reaction.
Very well. To be truthful, I was hoping that the purse would be mine anyways, so I would gladly exchange any information I have that you could be interested in. So, these people you were looking for, what, do they have a description? Name?
They are the Throes of the Sun.
The demeanor on his face changes completely. The Throes of Sunset.
That's right. It translates badly into my language. My mistake.
What would you need with him? He seems very suddenly guarded.
What we need with them is for you to tell us everything that you know about them and how we can get close to them, and then we'll pay you a large amount of money.
You may be closer than you think. All of the dwarves that you raced against today, we are all members of the Throes of Sunset. So, what is it that you want with my chosen family? He looks at Katya.
There's a practice that you have. I don't know what you call it. Grafting of Colossiahs onto mortals.
I believe your kind calls it Ibisam.
That's right. It's an extremely offensive practice.
Well, I hope we are not going to get into a theological debate.
Well, some people of your cult have done some particularly cruel things to my family members and to others.
I find that very hard to believe. Cult that's a very strong word. It's not the term I would use.
No, because you're in it. Cultists never like the term cultist.
Look, if you have a grievance with the Throes of Sunset, I am sure that they would be happy to hear you out.
Yes, I'd like to meet with the leader, the high priest, I believe.
There's no high priest, but I think I can put you in touch with someone who can take your grievance to the highest levels. Would that be sufficient?
Not for the purse that we're going to give you, no.
I see. Well then, if you are going to wait around to receive this purse, paid to you in full by the Throes of Sunset, I might add, it may behoove you to lessen your tone of accusatory nature.
It's a fact. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know what happened. It's not some sort of fake accusation. I know this happened. I'm certain of it. It's not you personally. I don't think you were involved. And I think like the rest of you would notice that like Ingvrad is getting like too emotional and too like somebody needs to do this talking for her or she's going to like get us into trouble just 100%.
You Bonkin in your certainties. No, I do not do those kinds of things for the family I am a part of. But I cannot say that my hands are clean. But then again, it is not I who you are looking for. Ah, here comes more. Looking up, you can see him kind of gesture off in the direction of the end of the alley as a few more hooded dwarven shapes kind of turn down the alleyway and make their way towards you. They approach, and Kazan, who you're with, kind of gives a little kind of whistle to them, and they come over to where the lot of you are kind of hidden behind these crates. They seem a little surprised to see all of you. And they speak to one another in Dwarven for just a moment, basically asking, what are you doing with all these people? He says, she's the one who won the race. She is here for the purse. Things of that nature. One of them moves over to these set of cellar doors, and through a manner you're not quite exactly certain what he does, you hear an unlock from inside, and he's able to pull them open, and the handful of dwarves begin to descend into the cellar. Kazan turns to you, Katya, and says, I suppose that this is either where we part ways, or where you come in to ask your questions and seek your winnings. I leave that to you. He kind of closes the door and disappears, leaving the five of you in the alley by yourselves.
We're going in, right? I know you're already giving away my winnings, but I would at least like to see them before I have to give them up for whatever. I mean, honestly, I don't really care that much. I won.
Yes, we're going in. We need information from these people.
All right, then I don't know what we're waiting for, and I'm going to open the door and go in after him.
I don't recall. Were we dressed for an adverse conversation? Did we come prepared with our gear? Because I don't think that we did.
We went to the ball dressed differently, but I think like day to day we probably are always prepared for the sort of shit that happens to us.
Yeah, but was that a different day, or was that following that?
That was the night before, right? And then the race happened in the morning.
Yeah,
Correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Yeah, I mean, if we're good to go, then sure.
Haroon's like, I don't want to walk in here unarmed.
Yeah, I mean,
neither do I.
We're kind of really outnumbered at that point.
Katya doesn't care. She's always armed. So
Yeah, I think Darian will just kind of give that look to the others of like, let's go inside, but also there's a moderate chance that we end up in a ring of people who all pull weapons on us and demand stuff from us or kill us. So we should be ready for that.
We are walking into the lion's den with no way out.
You all worry too much.
We are going into this tactically, speaking from military experience. We are going into an unknown location with unknown number of enemies. No escape plan. We are outnumbered. This is not a good situation for us.
But it is our usual situation.
We've never been fond of the smart way. It's too boring.
Well, may Arinivat bless us that we see the sun once more.
Ron, you weren't there with us when we found her. Trussed up like that. Trust me, if anyone's going to die today, it's going to be the sons of bitches who did this to her. We'll walk out of there just fine.
Of course, but do not be quick to shed blood. Let us be sure that we deliver justice to those who deserve it, yes?
Let's not shed too much blood before we figure out where they're keeping what we need, though.
Okay. So Katya pulls open one of the cellar doors, and the five of you make your way down the stone steps that lead into the cellar. The door closes behind you, and after just a brief moment, your eyes kind of adjust to the dim lighting in this space. You can tell that you are underneath the floor of the building above. You can see the beams exposed. The rest of the room seems to be made out of stone. There's a door that leads up into the establishment above with a small staircase kind of built leading to it. The rest of this seems to be like a storage area, but it doesn't seem to be overly stocked. There's a few things here and there, shelves that have a few casks and things on them, and the rest of the area seems to have been set up as a lounge or meeting space. There's a bunch of seating. There's kind of one large table in the center of it all, where this light source that kind of illuminates the whole room is sitting on. The dwarves are already tapping into a cask They're speaking to one another kind of in dwarven, not hushed tones, but in quiet voices. And you can tell just by their energy that even though they are kind of battered and bruised, that the tone seems to be celebratory in nature. They seem to be in general good spirits. But when you enter, they kind of look to you and grab a few extra tankards. Would you care to join us?
I think seeing all the other dwarves and the ones that she had raced against, Katya would sort of throw her arms wide and just sort of strut a few steps forward. What's up, losers? And then take a tankard and start laughing just to kind of show that it was a joke.
You've got a set on you, that's for sure. They thrust a tankard at you, Katya, the foam kind of sloshing all over the place from the head. The rest of you interested in drinking with us?
I don't drink.
Of course.
I'll take hers.
She will not.
I try not to drink either these days. You'd prefer me not drinking. He just kind of glares after that.
Darian will just kind of look to the others and just kind of shrug and just hold out a hand. He is not so resistant as the others are to the idea.
Humans are always so much more agreeable. They hand you a tankard, Darian. Easygoing, I believe the term is.
Yeah, imagine having to deal with that all the time. They'll just kind of laugh, trying to ease the tension of some of the social awkwardness that's already been caused.
They are eyeing Haroon quite a bit. Haroon being clad in the garb of the Kalendari.
I am afraid your dwarven drink, how you say, too strong for my delicate elfin palate.
Of course. You're not here on official business, then?
If I was here on official business, there would be more than just myself. No, I am merely just a spectator, here for moral support.
They kind of look at each other whenever you say moral support.
And when he says moral support, he'll shake his heavy coin purse at his that's hanging off his belt.
Their eyes might linger there for a moment. So you sit around and have a drink, maybe two, for those of you who wish to do so, before you hear the knock happen at the cellar doors once again. One of the dwarves hops up. Oh, it's about time. He kind of goes over to the cellar, unlocks it, opens the door, and you hear a short exchange between this dwarf and what sounds like a female. And then a moment later, the dwarf returns, and with him is a human woman who looks somewhat familiar to some of you, at least. Jazz Bosto, the opera star that had just retired the night before. She walks down the stairs into the cellar, and only now do you realize that she's fairly tall for a human. Not quite as tall as Ingvarad or Bosterad, mind you, who are probably having to duck a little down here if they're actually standing. So she's not quite that tall, but she is pretty tall for a human female especially. She walks in and she kind of holds her hands out wide, looking at you, Katya. And then she kind of claps them together and moves towards you. You did very, very well. Very, very well. I haven't seen driving like that in some time. What'd you say your name was again?
Katya Kybrick.
That's right. Kybrick. Katya Kybrick. She kind of puts her hands on either side of your face and kind of studies you for a moment. You're brave for a dwarf who's so young. Although I get the feeling that you've seen your fair share of darkness.
There's maybe a quick flash of shadow across her eyes as she says that. Sort of an involuntary reaction.
Interesting. Well, I can certainly say that that was not the outcome that I had expected. But you did win, and therefore the winning purse goes to you. She kind of snaps her fingers. One of the dwarves moves over to a crate in the corner. It looks like an average normal crate, but the front of the crate opens instead of the top. And inside you can see a lockbox. It looks pretty sturdy. It's got a very significant lock on the outside of it, definitely dwarven made. And he gets to work on it with a key. And after a moment, he brings over a large leather bag. You can hear the clinking of the money. He brings it over to you, Katya, and extends it in your direction. That's for you. You earned it.
Without hesitation, she takes it.
Well, I didn't realize all of you were together. You have an interesting group of friends. So, looks like the drinks are on us. She kind of smiles to all of you, sits down in a chair, helps herself to a tankard.
I used the distraction to grab another, to sort of swap my empty cup out with a full one.
You're a part of this Throes of Sunset as well?
She was just starting to kind of put her very nice brocaded boots up on the table. Whenever you say that, she kind of lets her feet fall back to the floor and sits up a little straighter. She kind of looks to the other people in the room. Look at these dwarves with no small amount of disappointment. I'm sorry, I don't know if I heard you correctly. What did you ask? What was the question?
Throes of Sunset. All of these dwarves are involved in it. It's a cult that smuggles Colossiah bone and grafts it onto mortals, which is, in fact, terribly blasphemous. These are all involved, all of these dwarves in here, and I'm just wondering, since you're here as well, you seem to know them very well, are you also involved in this cult?
You're not a very subtle creature, are you? Well, to answer your question, yes. I am involved in the group known as the Throes of Sunset. That's what we call ourselves.
And tell me, what is the meaning of your group? What do you do? There must be something beyond the theft of ancient relic.
Ancient relic. You're talking about the giant skeleton in Belorion?
The god Belorion, yes.
tell me, you still believe in all of that nonsense?
Yes, I do.
Look around you. The world is dying. If the gods were ever concerned with us, they haven't been in a long time. The Throes
Of course, the
Sunset.
gods are dead. That doesn't mean you need to desecrate their corpses. These things held meaning at one time, and they still do. And he looks to Ingvarad with kind of a bit of pity in his eyes. Like, I know you don't like to hear me say that, but they are gone.
And they are not. I appreciate your apology. It's easy to be faithful and devout when things are easy. Much harder when the world is difficult. It's when faith is really tested. And I still have faith, and I'm rewarded for it every day. And what you have done is you have stolen the bones of a god, a divine being, and then you have grafted it through some vile sorcery onto mortals. That is unacceptable.
So I suppose you're the punishment of the gods. Is that the way you see it?
No. I wouldn't give myself nearly so much credit. I'm just a vessel, I suppose, or a tool or a weapon, I don't know. But what you've done is wrong. You killed my sister, and so...
Well, hold on just one moment. Your sister? We killed your sister?
That's right, your cult.
How do you figure that that's the case?
I saw it happen. I saw it with my own eyes. On a ship. Directly related to you and yours. This... whatever this is. This group, as you say.
So you were the ones that were responsible for the righteous indignation crashing in Belorion. That was your doing?
Yes.
Not entirely, but we were there.
Basically entirely, if we're being honest. Nice to meet you.
It's unfortunate that we find ourselves...
Was that ship yours? That righteous indignation?
It was not ours by ownership, no, but we had hired them. Yes.
Do you know who owned it? What were you transporting on it? Tell me that.
It was supposed to be bringing the last of the Colossiah bone to us.
And?
There was also ether on board, worth quite a bit. I'm told that there were a few elven relics as well. She kind of side-eyes Haroon. We had an understanding.
When you say ether?
Yes.
Do you mean in the raw form or being extracted and refined? You know how they do that, right? You are aware of the processes.
Of the Ontuo family? I have heard rumors, yes. We had an arrangement with them as well, however. But you have to understand.
He'll slam his fist down on the table. I have to understand why my wife was covered in those tubes being used as a vessel for your vile god's breath.
So you were married to Dathkari.
He'll sit up a little straighter at the mention of her name. How did you know her?
We don't force people into joining our group. Everyone who comes to us is a volunteer. So tell me, how well did you know Daskari? It doesn't seem like it was as well as you might have thought.
Ingrid will put a hand on Bastrad's shoulder.
You can feel him shaking.
You ordered this thing? You specifically?
Ordered what thing?
The shipment.
I did. Yes.
You've ordered many such shipments?
I have. It's some of the rarest, best produced ether that anybody can find, and it's, well, to be honest, it sells for quite a lot on the street. What we do is expensive. We need a source of funds that is untraceable.
How many dwarves are in here?
There are 3 dwarves and this woman.
Not quite so
Bastarad-
untraceable, I guess.
Bastarad is just looking up over his shoulder at Ingvarad so that she can see like the hate in his eyes, and she can see that he's basically like, tell me when. I'm holding back as much as I can.
I think it would be clear to the rest of you as well that Ingrid has just crossed that line into, like, about to murder 4 people in this cellar.
It's taken Katya a little bit longer to catch on. It started initially. She was kind of had this look of, "You're embarrassing me in front of my new friends." And slowly, as this has escalated, she has set down her drink and is slowly stepping back towards you guys.
I understand it. The tension here is quite high.
It would seem.
You have to understand emotional connection here. But we are here to also do business. As you mentioned, there are elven artifacts that were taken from the Bartadom. I, as a representative of my people, am seeking to speak with your sovereign oracle of Belorion. And I'm going to use my channel divinity to augment my presence, basically boosting my charisma. Generally, the way I feel like this does is that his eyes will glow blue with ether, and his aura would just kind of generate more of a calming effect in the room. We understand that your organization seeks
Whoa. I don't know what exactly happened just here. Your microphone went ballistic there, Alan.
Nope.
Ouch. You sound like the...
I thought you said it was a calming effect.
I cast Screech. Yeah, I don't know what's making it do that, man. That's wild. Yeah, for sure. Hold, please.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, it was microphone was picking up. It was picking up a different microphone. It was the issue versus headset.
Gotcha.
So I understand that you were seeking Colossiah bone. As you can see, I have here two bonekin who are very familiar with the workings of such fine material. Perhaps we can work out an exchange.
Yes, in exchange for you going back in time and undoing what you did to my wife, you will get to live. Can you do that? And he immediately catches that he was kind of speaking out of turn and like really ramping things up, and like shuts up again, but just barely keeping it in.
You all have the look of capable people. You all seem very prepared to fight for whatever it is that you have come here to do, to avenge or defend or undo. I'm certain that your hands are not free of blood. Not even yours. Are you apologetic for every life that you've taken? Or are some of them simply the cost of doing what it is that you're doing? Of standing for what it is that you believe in? And what of the families of all of those who you have laid to rest? And what of them if and when they come to seek their vengeance upon you? Would you remain so righteous?
Yes.
I believe you.
You cannot think that this farce is convincing, that what you do, which is smuggle bodies and god bones, is the same as us killing a person in self-defense. You cannot imagine that is similar. You do it for profit. It's not even... It's nonsense.
We did not smuggle Belorion out of his city for profit. There is purpose to what we do. And we take it very seriously.
And that purpose is making lots of money off the ether that you sell.
No, selling the ether is a way that we are able to fulfill our purpose. It gives us the means with which to do so. Tell me, did you involve yourselves in our little fun this morning just so that you could bring yourselves closer to standing where you are now? Was it all just for this?
It's this and whatever lies beyond you, whatever head this snake has.
Well, it appears we're at an impasse. If there's nothing left for us to discuss, she begins to stand up.
What is this purpose
Bastrad
that
will
you're
rise
funding?
with her.
If I thought that there was a chance of making you into believers, maybe I would tell you.
They won't ever believe you, but I've seen a lot of things.
We are
It's
doing
not
the
that I
world.
won't believe you. It's just that I don't know if I can ever stop hating you for what you did to her.
Just let us talk, Bastrad. You've said enough.
We are doing the world a great service. All around you, what do you see? You're young, so I know that your perspective on things may not be as experienced as some. But what do you see happening all around you, everywhere you look? Misery. Pain. Dishonesty. Suffering. Hell, just in this room alone, I imagine that there's more than enough to fill hours and hours of storytelling. This world is dying, and there is nothing that we can do about it. What you see around you every day is only getting worse.
Yet you give yourself such a grand purpose. Clearly you think that something can be done, or else you wouldn't bother. You just rake in the money, make your life comfortable for as long as you have to live it, and then move along. But you don't do that. Why?
You still don't understand, do you? We aren't trying
You've
to
done a lot of
save.
grandstanding, but very little explaining.
We aren't trying to save the world. We're giving it a mercy killing. We are going to be the ones who stop all of this suffering once and for all.
You know, there's something interesting about that. You're right. I don't believe it. You guys can do whatever you were going to do.
Thank God, finally! And I'm just gonna leap up out of my, just straight forward towards her with, just a haymaker right to the face.
You know, Austin, I'm thinking maybe Barbarian is a pretty good idea to multi-class into for Bastard.
It might fit.
Perfect. Roll initiative, everybody. Oh, Jake, remind me later at some point. You need to let me know whenever you look through that bag of coins.
To be honest, I probably would have been looking through it while they were talking.
Okay, cool. I'll touch on. Remind me after this exchange here.
If I'm able to.
Right?
If it's relevant.
Okay, so Ingvarad with a 20. Haroon with a 16. The next is Darian with a 10. And then Vostrad. And Katya. The two of you roll a d6, please.
Two of who? Oh, Bastrad.
Yeah, Katya and Vostrad.
Sorry, you said a D6?
Yeah.
6.
And Vostrad got a 2. Okay. Okay. And
Bastrad just needed literally anyone to say go. He knows he doesn't have the self-control to like make those decisions himself. But if one of you says it, it's probably okay.
Figured it was worth at least hearing out the mission statement. And then the second they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, we just want to kill everybody and have that be the end of the world." I was like, "Okay,
Yeah, fuck
yeah,
this.
you're right. I'm not in on this one."
It surprises me. No, okay. So, Vostrad, go ahead and make your roll. I'm half a mind to give you advantage, but then again, I mean, it was pretty obvious that this was kind of heading that direction.
No, don't
I
give
think
me
we all
advantage.
knew where this was going.
Don't give me advantage because I just rolled the nat 1. So, I mean, have some fun with that. That's too good not to have happen.
Do you have any points of inspiration? Not that you have to spend it, but you can
I
certainly
honestly
take
don't
that
know.
nat 1
I
if you want.
probably do. Where's my character sheet? Jesus. Let me see. Oh shit, I have 2 written down. All right, yeah, I'll try it. All right, so that's better. That's gonna be a 22 to hit.
Yeah. That will absolutely connect. So deal your damage. Lloyd.
Shit, I just realized I have not done combat in so long that I am not 100% sure what my unarmed damage is.
I wouldn't
I'm
know.
going to double check real quick.
You're
I can
7th?
Yeah, I have it. I just navigated off that page earlier.
It's
On my
Almost
PDF.
certainly a D6.
Yeah, it is a d6. It doesn't change until 11th.
Okay, cool. Then yes, I got, so it's a D6 plus Dex, so I got a 6 overall.
All right. You
Wait,
connected
did
her.
you say D6 plus 6?
No, I have a plus 3 to Dex.
Oh, I thought you said D6 plus 6 equals 6.
No. That's
Right.
That's
I rolled
impossible.
a 0.
Well, it
Okay.
landed on the corner. So.
That's what you call it whenever it falls off the table. That's a 0. Okay. So, you connect with Jazz Bosto's jaw, and she reels backwards, taking a step back. Again, it doesn't seem like she was completely caught off guard, but you absolutely jumped past her defenses. Made full connect. The dwarves all kind of reach for their weapons, and it's obvious that this is going to turn into a knockdown drag-out. But before any of them are able to respond in kind, Haroon, you are quick to act, so it's your turn.
Is it me
Alright.
first?
Uh-oh, did I write something down wrong?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ingvarad has a 20.
It looks, and yep.
Oh, duh. I skipped the first person in the initiative order because
Oh,
it's
Bastrad went.
Bastrad's turn. Sorry, Ingvarad, yes, you are up. And then it'll
What?
be Haroon.
What size is the room? And are we all on one side of the table and they were on the other?
So I don't know how many of you were standing, how many of you were sitting. I'll leave that kind of up to you guys. But the whole room is 25 by 25. It's not overly large. It's one open room. There are shelving and things like that kind of around the edges of it. Other than that, it's a fairly open space.
Okay. I'm going to slap the table, and I'm going to invoke Midakona, who's the god of war, and I'm going to cast Wall of Fire in a circle around them, I guess, since they're all on the same side of the table. It says up to 60 feet long, 20 feet, or a circle up to. So I guess I can make it smaller, right?
Yes. Yeah, you get to control how big it is.
So I guess I'll make it like 10 foot around so we can fit all of them in there, and I'll make the damage on the inside.
Okay. So with it being only 10 feet, you probably won't be able to get all 4 of them inside. They weren't quite that close together.
Okay, I'll make it big enough so I can get them all inside.
Okay, so we'll just call it 15 by 15. It's so
Okay.
half the room essentially is engulfed in fire all of a sudden. Very quickly, I almost imagine the wall kind of even like bisects the table, and very, very quickly you can hear the crackling as the wood starts to catch. And you know it's probably not going to be long before the wooden ceiling above you also starts to catch.
Fine by me.
All right. They need saving
they'll-
throws?
Yeah, if they're within, well, actually they have to because they're all within 10 feet of the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So they make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay.
The DC is...
He ain't going to pass.
14.
He does. More than likely.
15, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 of them fail.
Okay, they will each take 5d8 fire damage, and the others will take half of that.
I need to roll for her. You said it was 14 or 15?
15, yeah.
Okay. She passes, but only barely.
So 24 if they failed, and 12 if they succeeded.
Okay. Checking.
They will take that damage again when they enter the wall for the first time, or they end their turn there.
Okay.
And the outside that we're on doesn't deal any damage.
Right. It's the cold side.
So Bastarad is kind of right up on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Cool.
I would imagine, Bastrad, you are in the circle
yeah.
of
And
fire
I
with them.
rolled and failed. So that's the 24. Cool. It's good. It's all good. It's all good.
Warm in here.
I can't exit the
Oh no.
Oh, that's right. That is right. I can take half damage from that. Thank you.
Okay.
Just now gained that ability, so thank you for reminding me. I was literally just looking at that.
So what does it look like? How is it that Bastarad is protected from this fire?
Well, he still gets burned, but he'll kind of pull one of these tables up and shield himself from most of the damage, or half of the damage, about as he's still kind of squared up with this monstrous woman and with the orange hair. Beat the crap out of her. I already forgot her name, but I'm going to beat the crap out of her anyway.
Okay. Next up is Haroon.
Haroon stands, and as he does, he pulls out his shield, and from his shield, as he pulls the strap on tight, from the sheath in the shield, his warhammer slides out and he catches it underneath. Pain, suffering, death. These are all elements of life. To end them is to end creation. These are not absent of life. They are a part of it. And you will hold your ground. And you will stand and be judged. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cast Hold Person on her. So she needs to make a wisdom saving throw.
Can you see through the wall of fire? Do you have to see in order to target with them. To target someone with whole person.
I don't see why I couldn't see through fire, but range 60 feet, a humanoid that you can see within range.
Okay, let me check the description of the spell real quick.
I don't think Wall of Fire obscures vision.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to.
Okay. Yeah, if it doesn't
It
say
does
it in the
say
spell,
the wall is opaque, but I don't know that that necessarily means that it's entirely.
Oh, I see.
if it says the wall's opaque, then yeah, that means you can't see through it.
Oh. So we can't see anybody?
No. Currently, you can only see those of you from your party minus Bastarod.
Sorry.
Okay. I will walk through the burning wall of fire. All right.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, why not?
So, walking through, do you still get a dex save?
I believe so.
Yes. So it's basically whenever you like enter into the damaging area for the first time on a turn, or you end your turn there.
Okay.
Either one.
Ooh. All right. So go ahead and make your dexterity save, Arun.
Okay, not so good. I'm going to use my inspiration. That wasn't any better. How much damage do I take?
Oh boy.
And or what happens? Is there any effect other than fire damage?
No.
Okay.
Just burning.
20.
No worries. All right. Take 20 damage.
No worries.
All right. Hold
I'm just on
person.
fire. Okay, you need a wisdom save, you said, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Going to be a DC 15.
She passes with a 19.
Okay, then smash her in the face with my extra attack.
Is whole person a bonus?
No, but I have extra attack, so I can make 2 actions a turn.
Only
it's
when
2
you
attacks.
No.
Casting a spell is a full action, yeah.
Yeah. Extra attack reads when you take the attack action, you may attack
you
twice.
attack twice
Yeah.
instead of once. Yeah, okay, never mind. Yep,
Right.
Then that's it. I'm done.
Okay, so you present this this ultimatum with absolute conviction, but you get the sensation that you aren't the only one standing in this circle of fire who has determination. She looks you straight in the face and does not respond. She is going to... okay. Haroon and Bostrad, both of you can see that 2 of the dwarves are on the ground, dead. Their bodies pretty badly burned. The third is not doing so well, but he is still alive. She is a little singed, her clothing, her hair, but she doesn't seem overly concerned at the situation that she's found herself in. She reaches down and grabs a hold of the belt that she wears, and in one full fluid motion unclasps it and kind of whips the leather out beside her. And as she does so, 2 distinct things happen. First of all, the belt that she had solidifies itself into a sword that's probably 5.5 feet long, that she is then able to grasp in both of her hands. These kind of mechanical pieces kind of moving and clicking into place as it extends into a weapon. The other thing that happens is that her clothing around her begins to shift in a similar fashion into a suit of armor that you saw her perform in the night before.
Bastrad will just say, just kind of taken in the heat of the moment, that was pretty neat.
She then rounds on you, Bastrad, and is going to swing this sword at you twice.
I'm going to go ahead and use my protection style reaction.
To give disadvantage?
Disadvantage on the attack rolls.
Good deal. Bastrad, what is your armor class? Ooh.
16.
Okay, so the first one is going to hit. The second, does your protection apply to both, Alan, or is it just the first?
It just says you can use your reaction to pose disadvantage on the attack roll.
Okay, so I think it's only on the first one. Okay, so you put your shield up, and the blow of her sword comes down. This weapon was larger than you expected it to be. And she basically just brings your shield down with the weight of the blade and manages to make contact with Bastrad. You take 12 points of slashing damage, Bastrad, from this first one. The second, without the aid of Haroon's shield being there the second time as it was knocked away from the first blow, she manages to connect a second time. This time dealing 15 points of slashing damage. She moves with a surprising amount of grace for a human woman her size. But again, almost all of the movements that she is undertaking as she's attacking you is very, very reminiscent of what you saw her doing on the stage the night before. Okay. The remaining dwarf. He draws a scimitar from his belt and is going to close with you, Haroon, and is going to attack you. I don't imagine a 10 hits you.
It does not.
Okay. He swings wild. You can tell that he's a little unnerved by the fact that he's surrounded by this fire all of a sudden, but is trying his best to stand beside Jazz. Okay, that brings us to Darian.
Imagine there's this moment as the fight just begins to break out where Darian goes down to reach for his short sword and like leap in, and then suddenly this wall of fire springs up in his face, and he'll just kind of like jump back as the sudden rush of flame will engulf everyone, and he'll just kind of like look up at the wooden ceiling and over to Ingvarad like, oh god. Darian's going to use his movement to back away to the stairs that they came down, and then I'm going to basically pull out my short bow with my interaction and ready in action that if any enemy leaves the wall of fire or if the wall of fire goes down, I'll take a shot with the bow. But Darian's not going to run in there, but he wants to be close to the exit in case this place starts to fall.
Okay, so you have moved, readied, prepared yourself for what is certainly an inevitability. Katya, it is your turn.
As the fire erupts, you just hear, "There's themed. That's something I would do." And then as Haroon just walks through this fire, "What are you doing? Gah! All these idiots not resistant to fire." And I am going to walk through the flames and as soon as I can see her, I'm going to bonus action, shoot some of the shadow as the shadows clouds my eyes. A wisp of it launches across at her, and I'm going to Hexblade's curse her. And then I'm going to pop off 2 Eldritch Blast. How far away from me is she as I step through the fire?
10 feet. But you are resistant to fire?
I'm resistant to fire, so I do need to know how much damage I'm going to take. So that's a dex save as I go through?
I believe so.
Dex save, yep.
Oh, I'm great at those. That is a 10. So which I believe is a fail, so I'll take half of whatever you...
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Because of resistance.
It's 21, so you'll take 11, I guess.
10. I always round in the hero's favor.
All right. It's just the edges of my hair sort of burn a little bit. I don't even acknowledge it. As soon as I see her, I curse her and I pop off these 2 Eldritch Blasts. That is that's a nat 20 on the first one, which means score critical. Oh, I score a crit on a 19 or 20. Okay, so crits are you doing the same I do, Jeremy?
Close.
Or do you do it different?
Yeah, so you have all your whatever dice goes into the roll plus your modifiers at max, and then you roll your dice and add your modifiers a second time.
Okay. So that is for that first blast. That is a 1d10. Where'd it go? Oh, it's just a 1d10.
I think there's invocations you can pick up that.
Yeah, I don't have them. So I got an 12 points of whatever an Eldritch Blast is. What is that? Force damage?
I think so.
Yeah, force damage on the first attack. The second one is probably going to go wild. I imagine I just pumped way too much energy into that first shot as I came through, and the second one just sort of fizzles. I don't imagine a 9 is going to hit her.
No, it will not.
And yeah, that's my turn.
Okay. You have stepped through, and as you do so, she is going to take her first legendary action as she turns towards you, Katya, and says, "You've made a grave mistake. You need to make a wisdom saving throw, please."
Ooh, I'm great at those.
And if you're within 10 feet of me, you automatically get a +3 to your saving throws.
Nice. Paladin.
Well, with that +3, that turns this 5 into an 8, which then becomes an 11.
It's getting there. But it will not be enough to pass. You
Sorry,
are
Jeremy,
frightened.
one thing.
Sorry,
She ends her turn in the circle. She has to make the save again and take damage again. I forgot to tell you that.
I do?
Anyone who ends their turn inside the circle.
On the same round that they passed through it or it was summoned? Or does that start next round?
So it says the creature takes the same damage when it enters the wall for the first time on a turn or ends its turn there. Okay. Yeah.
So next round that'll start.
But she started and ended her turn there. She took the damage because it was summoned, and then she ended her turn inside. The others will take it as they go. It's very rules wiry, but I think
that's fine.
They take it as they go through, and then at the end of the turn, because they've already taken another turn, they won't. But there's like initial damage when it's summoned, and then she ended her turn inside of it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I'm gonna look to the Dodi here to explain the fineries, but I think that's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense because she started her turn in the wall and then did not leave on her turn and then stayed in it. So if it was her first turn and it when it happened, but because she had the opportunity to leave and chose not to, I think it would
Right.
if you're going strictly by the rules.
That's my
Only, but
understanding as
obviously
well.
it's your call.
No, that makes sense. A 7 is not going to pass, so she will be taking full damage from this.
Sick. 6, 21 fire damage.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, so Katya, when she has said you've made a grave mistake and has looked you right in the eyes, you feel this cold sensation kind of creep up your back, despite the fact that you have just stepped through fire. You are frightened until the end of her next turn.
Hold on a second, because I have a feature that has to do with fear.
Oh,
I have
nice.
I'm as a Delver dwarf. I have the brave feature. I have advantage versus being frightened.
Okay, so roll a second d20.
I'm terrified. I rolled lower this time. I rolled a 4 instead of a 5. So, yeah, I pee a little. It takes a lot to scare Katya, and this is. It takes a lot to scare Katya, and I think as she stepped through with that usual bravado, I imagine there's just this. All she can see is this woman wreathed now, not looking how she looked a moment ago.
That's true.
Because she didn't see the transformation. She just
Very
saw.
true.
And I think that coupled with the flames wreathing, and as she turns and says, "You've made a grave mistake," yeah, that rattles Katya.
Yeah, and I think with these horns on her helm, and the fact that this plate is kind of or this scale is kind of all shiny and made very much to catch the light. It's reflecting all of the light from the fire, and she looks a lot like a fiend from the Down Under. Okay, that was Katya. Basteron.
Oh boy. Bastrad is hurting from this fire and the slash that she just gave him, but he is pretty solely focused at this point. And he's going to go ahead and cast Manual Hold Person with his hands around her filthy throat and hold her down into the fire and just try to push her as close to the fire as possible.
Okay, so that sounds like a grapple?
Yes.
Okay, so you make an athletics roll.
Okay. 17. Not great, not terrible.
Okay, she rolled a 17 on the die.
Ooh,
so
tie.
You know.
I don't know how ties work in grappling.
With her
Grappling's
bonuses,
confusing to me.
With her bonuses, it is significantly higher than 17.
Yes. With her bonuses, right. That was on the die. Yeah, no, not good. Ooh, yeah.
So, Bastrad, you reach out and grab a hold of kind of the gorget of this armor and try to get a hold of it, but this thing it's definitely not simply stage dress. This is fully functional, well-made armor, and you're having a very difficult time actually getting any purchase on this. She just kind of reaches up with her offhand, removing it from the hilt of her greatsword for just a moment to kind of bat your hand away with her forearm. That only replaces one of your attacks.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I will go ahead and just try to, hoping that I've gotten her arms kind of, up in a defensive stance, try to go for a lower jab. Oh, but that's not going to work out, and I'll spend a key point. I think I have a bonus action too, right? I got the bonus action attack. Yeah, so I'll start with the bonus unarmed and do okay, that's not terrible. That's a 19 for the first bonus, and I am going to spend a key point and do a flurry of blows.
Okay. A 19 will hit.
Awesome. And oh god, that one did land on its freaking corner. 5 points of damage, and then another 19 to hit with the key point, and then that's going to be 8 points of damage. So
what was the first damage? Sorry.
So it's 13 overall.
Okay. Excellent. 6. And yes, as Jeff so eloquently pointed out, you are about to end your turn inside the fire. By the by.
Yep, very aware of that. I mean, I am aware of that, but Bastrad's just focused on some choking.
Right. Okay. For her last.
Well, I'm ending my turn there, so how much damage do I take?
Good question.
It's not good news, Bastrad.
Well, I rolled a 15.
Okay, you'll get half
12, then. Which means I'll get none.
Oh,
because
perfect.
I'm a monk.
Excellent.
Well, that works.
It was 29, so very lucky.
Very, very, very lucky. Just got that ability.
For her last legendary action, she is going to make a weapon attack against you, Bastrad. She hits you with a 17. For another 15 points of slashing damage.
Bastarad, like that brings him to his knee, and you can see that he's just about to pass out. But he looks up with this kind of fire in his eyes, and he says, "Takes more than that to take a bonekin down." And his relentless endurance will kick in and keep him at 1 hit point.
Fantastic. She's followed you down to your knee with the weight of her blade, and you say this looking up at her with this ferocity in your face. She puts her foot on your knee and uses your body to kind of pull the blade free. She says, "I know you aren't my first." All right. Ingvarad, it's your turn.
I'm going to walk through the fire. As a cleric of the Forge, I am resistant to fire. I'm going to walk through it, and I'm going to try and make a dex save to avoid my own spell. And I succeed on a 15 on the die. Who'd have thunk? It's a 17 total. I'm going to walk through, and I'm going to see the situation, which is horrifying, and I'm going to put my hand on Bastrad and heal him. I'm going to use a 3rd level slot for that.
All these firewalkers.
Good.
It's like we're in a corporate exercise.
Oh, man. Okay.
It's like we're walking across Jake's background.
It's going to be 24 that I heal you for, Bastrad.
Thank you.
So I'll do that, and then I will stand next to him.
Okay. I guess... Sorry, I didn't roll for the dwarf who ended his turn inside the fire. So, okay. He rolled a 20.
He will still take half.
They are minions, so...
Oh, okay.
He
so he'll
technically
explode.
will. Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
If they pass their save, they take no damage.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So he's just. I mean, he's cooking, but he's apparently. He's probably also resistant, much like Katya is, and it's just not affecting him the way that it normally would for most people. Yes, the burning flames continuing, persisting. The table is completely ablaze at this point, and the wooden ceiling above you has certainly caught and is going to start spreading very quickly here. The room is starting to fill up with smoke, as there's not really much of a place for it to go. But as of right now, it's probably only the first 6 inches or so, so it probably kind of mostly between the wooden beams that support the floor above you. Okay, that was Ingvarad. Haroon.
Haroon standing with his shield up and his warhammer held high. His eyes begin to blaze blue with ether, and trails of wisp smoke begin to burn out of his eyes as the hammer begins to glow with ether as well. So as my bonus action, I'm going to cast Thunderous Smite on my hammer. And I will hold that until I connect with my first melee attack, and then I will attack. So that is rolling dice. That's a nat 20 on the first hit.
There you go. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah. So remind me on how the
all of your dice and all of your modifiers from that particular hit are maxed. And then you roll your dice and add your modifiers a second time.
Okay. So that's already starting out with 10.
And yes, I believe you can smite on all of your attacks. You just have to have the spell slots for it.
Yeah. Well, no, because you only get one bonus action, so it's only one. Okay, so 7.
He means the paladin ability smite, not the spell.
Yeah. So you can like cast a spell and attack, and then also spend a spell slot to do the divine smite and do 600 million damage.
Gotcha. So my first attack it's 7. It'll be 17 bludgeoning, and then that is going to be 8 thunder damage. So on my first attack, when I hit her, all that ether that was built up into my hammer, like as soon as it connects with her, this audible thunderous sound is released and can be heard with up to 300 feet as it just kind of explodes out. I imagine like just that burst, that wave of thunder ripples that flame. It doesn't put it out, but it'll ripple it as the air in this room is so compressed. Additionally, she has to succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed 10 feet and knocked prone.
All right.
That's going to be a DC 15.
Lord. She got an 18 on the die, so she definitely passed.
Okay.
So, yeah, this rush of air kind of, as you said, makes the wall of fire flicker all around you. The cellar doors behind you, Darian, fly open from the tremendous noise, as well as the other door at the top of the stairs that leads into the rest of the establishment.
Okay. My second attack is a 21 to hit.
Will also make connect.
That's 9 bludgeoning, and I will spend a spell slot to do the divine smite, which is going to add. So that was 9 bludgeoning. It's going to be 8 radiant extra damage. So again, like when I go to hit her again, but this one when I hit her, just more of that. I'm just pouring more ether into that strike, so it's just hammering into her and just. I imagine just shock waving through her armor.
Yeah, and she's taking these blows, kind of spinning with the hit, realizing that her defenses are penetrated, but still kind of reacting as if someone who has been trained for a lifetime of doing this dance. And she tries to minimize the impact of this as much as possible, though you can see that it's still just hammering her. But when you land this second blow, she starts to hum part of a song. It's similar to one that you heard in the show the night before. But as she is humming this, you notice that the ether from your hammer and the hammer blow itself doesn't seem to do quite as much damage as you had hoped. She is spending a spell slot for Song of Defense, which will allow her to reduce the incoming damage. Okay. She finishes her third, and it is now her turn. She looks to the left and sees one of you closing. She looks to the right and sees one of you closing. Notices that she is very, very quickly growing surrounded and outnumbered. She raises her sword up above her head and then brings the blade of it down hard on the stone. And as she does so, she belts this note from the depths of her abdomen. And as she does so, all of you are going to need to make a saving throw as she casts Thunder Wave.
Con, isn't it?
How close do we need to be to you, Haroon, to get your bonus? Is it 10 feet?
10 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
It is a
When you say all of us, does that include Darian on the stairs?
No, not Darian. No, sorry.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
Okay. So Katya,
What's your bonus, Haroon? That we get
It's
through?
a +3, yeah.
Okay, so I'm at 18 then.
And I'm at 23.
Okay.
15 for me.
Okay, let's see. She is... Okay, a 15 is going to fail. Everybody else has succeeded. So those of you who succeeded will simply take half of the damage. Thunder damage, if it makes a difference. Haroon, you are going to take full damage, and then you are going to be pushed 10 feet away. And it's, full is 19, so half will be 9 points of thunder damage. And then, Haroon, you are pushed 10 feet away, which I believe is going to force you back through the firewall.
I have a question. Can I drop a spell at any time? Or is it like an action?
Usually says in the spell description.
Well, if it's a concentration, so I guess I could. I just don't know, like, is that an action or is it like...
So, I mean, it would have to be able to happen off your turn, because if you take damage and fail a concentration check, it ends your spell.
Right.
So I guess let's do it this way. Make a dexterity saving throw to see if your reaction time is fast enough to
Perfect.
to drop it.
Yep. It's a crit, so yes.
A crit success. Okay, good.
Right. I will see this happening, and I will, which I guess will like drop the wall, but I imagine the room is still on fire. But
Yes.
at least the thunderous hellscape is sort of gone.
So, Ingvarad, you reach out in the nick of time and drop the effects of your spell just as Haroon passes over the threshold of where the wall of fire stood just a split second before. So, it doesn't say anything about prone, so I believe you still are on your feet, Haroon, even though you have been shoved back 10 feet away from her.
So if the firewall is down, does that trigger my readied action?
Yeah, I would say so. You were looking for a target, so you're focused in that direction.
Yeah. So in that case, so I think it would still happen after her turn. So if she's not done yet, then she can keep going. But yeah, once her turn's done, I'll use a reaction to take a shot.
Go for it.
All right. Yeah. So I rolled just in case already. So that's going to be 24 to hit.
Absolutely, we'll make contact.
Alrighty, and that is good damage there. It is going to be 24 piercing damage with sneak attack.
24.
As the wall will drop, and Darian will kind of just in surprise, like seeing this like sudden evaporation of this huge wave of fire. Arrow already pulled back, I imagine. We'll just see the opportunity and send it flying at her. Going in between some plates on the armor.
Absolutely. And having kind of just turned her attention to those closest to her, her guard was certainly down. And this arrow staggers her another step as it embeds itself, finding a chink in her armor. We're still on her turn. Okay. She reaches down to her belt where she pulls a small bottle. This small little vial. She raises it up above her head and smashes it on the ground. And as she does so, even through the smoke that is billowing out from the fires that are now raging on their own in this room, you can see that the vapors that escape from this broken vial start to kind of form this glowing ribbon above where it's smashed. And that ribbon kind of elongates until it almost touches the ceiling. Kind of the smoke and vapors kind of feathering away from the edges of it as it starts to widen. And you realize that this is a door of some kind. And she moves to step through it. She's casting Dimension Door.
Okay, she's not like making a move. Okay, yeah. So there's no opportunity attack or anything, right?
I don't think so. I think any kind of teleportation magic, I think it nullifies. But I will double check.
No, for sure.
Yeah, you teleport yourself.
Yeah, it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
Okay. She smashes this vial as you watch this ribbon expand into this kind of rift. She casts kind of a look in the direction of your collective group and says, "We'll meet again," and steps through. The ribbon begins to close behind her rapidly, collapsing as the vapors dissipate. Oh, I've got a... Oh. No wizards. Okay. She is no longer in sight. But there is still one of these dwarves, stubborn. He's left. He has seen the situation. He's read the writing on the wall. now that the wall of fire is down, he turns and runs towards the staircase that leads to the interior of the building, away from where Darian is. So several of you are going to be able to take attacks of opportunity. He attacked Haroon, so Haroon at the very least will have the opportunity to do so. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3 of you that are also possibly within range of him. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bosterod, you would also be able to take an opportunity attack against him if you'd like.
No, I very much would. Non-lethal, though. I do want to try to knock him out.
Okay.
Haroon first, though?
Okay, so I rolled a 16 to attack.
Yes.
All
That
right.
bypasses the bonus that he gets from the Ebasam natural armor.
Okay. So that would be 6 bludgeoning.
Yes. Again, they are minions, so this will kill him.
And I would do non-lethal.
Non-lethal as well? Okay.
Yeah.
So what does it look like as
I would
you
just
take it out?
Yeah, so as he goes to run past me, I just definitely move to the side and move like I go to strike, but I pull a lot of the power back to where it basically is just going to like strike him in the back of the head enough that it would just knock him out, but not kill him.
Yeah, he takes a full, further step after getting conked in the head before his feet stop moving forward and his body just kind of falls and just goes face first into the floor. Out.
I would then look to Bastarad and say, "Bring him with us."
Bastarad will look up and kind of grunt at this, like, commanding tone. He's like, I was planning on doing that anyway, but don't think I'm doing this because you told me to. I'll pick him up. He's clearly like quite battered and slashed up and burned. Like his clothes seem very singed. There's black streaks kind of running through. But he's more or less on his feet. We need to leave now.
Vrad will move her hands and she'll create water to try and stop this neighborhood going on fire. You create like 10 gallons of water or something. So I'll create it like in the spots that I think is most useful.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of concentration to kind of spread it around and douse these blazes, but you managed to do so. The damage that the under structure of the floor above you has sustained is probably going to be enough to condemn this building, but you have managed to kind of contain the damage that otherwise would have absolutely consumed a large portion of this city. Okay, as the 5 of you and your parcel escape from this cellar out into the city of Arinivat, that is where we are going to take our break. So, 5-10 minutes, go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, kiss your spouse, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. Thank you very, very much for tuning in this evening if you were watching with us, and thank you very, very much if you are tuning in at a later date. Don't turn off your cameras, everybody. For the audience, just sit right back and we will return. Okay, we should be back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the break. We are about to get started with our second half of Whispers and Fragments. Tonight's title is Loose Ends. So, the building fire has been averted. The damage that it caused, though some structural, was minimized. All of the dwarves were either killed or the one that you have knocked unconscious. Just for shits and giggles, we're going to say it's the same one that you guys came to this place with. Kazan, I believe is his name, Kazan. Kind of slung over Bostarod's shoulder. Jazz, Bosto, the human blade singing, was it ONP? I think it's called the ONP performer who just retired the night before, vanished in a ribbon of light, and you are now running away from the scene of this sudden and violent encounter in the Dreaming City. So, where are you headed? Oh. Put a pin in that. Be thinking about what you're going to say for that, because I forgot. There's something I needed to tell you, Jake.
I was just about to remind you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When you were looking through the bag of the winnings earlier, there were two things that you noticed. One, not all of it was coin. There was a pearl that was located in the bag. And then of the coin that remained, about a third of it, it's all silver pieces. So there were 450 silver piece value, and then the pearl is worth 50, just for bookkeeping terms. But about a third of the coins you recognize as Serfrik coins. Serfrik, Serfrik coins. These are silver coins that were minted in your hometown, Tolmunimir. But they had a distinguishing flaw in them. Now, flaw by dwarven standards is really only something that can probably be noticed by dwarves. But flawed it was. And what flaw was it, Jake?
Is this a flaw as in a mistake in the workmanship, or a flaw as in not an accurate representation?
Like a small flaw in the workmanship of when it was actually like forged, minted.
I'm gonna say that it's super subtle. Again, like you said, it's something only a dwarf would notice. It's a very faint double minting. That comes from somebody that was minting these coins, probably talking or being distracted while they were supposed to be minting them, and basically creating a double pressing, but so subtle that it's just visible around the edges. Almost to the point I would imagine it's just sort of naturally a thing to look for when looking at anything dwarven. There's that sort of, because it's recognized as dwarven, other dwarves, I imagine, are automatically appraising and judging the workmanship of other dwarves.
Absolutely. All of the coins in Momentum are forged by dwarves. There's so few precious metals that are released into the world anyways, because it all comes from the down under. It all passes through the hands of dwarves, and this is one of the biggest ways that they control a lot of trade and commerce, is because they are the only ones who mint coins. But these specific coins have this slight double press from where the drop forge would hit and bounce just a little before coming to rest, and it didn't go unnoticed until there were 2 full runs that were made of this coin before the flaw was discovered, and they were ordered to be smelted back down so that they could be minted again. However, during the process of all of that, a large sum of these coins did disappear.
How many of the coins were this?
So it's about a third of a coin. So
was the 400 silver the total normal, or these are a part of that?
These are a part of that. Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be, so it's a third of the remaining coins. So, okay, you have a 50 gold piece pearl, and then you have 450 silver pieces. 150 of them, roughly, are these Surfric coins. And again, in Momentum, the exchange is kind of one denomination higher. So this is the equivalent of gold pieces. And then, like I said, the pearl. Okay. So, with that out there now, you guys are now fleeing into the city, but where are you headed?
I would think we'd go back to our flat, right?
Does anyone know that we're there? That we're staying there?
Darian would recommend that we find some, like, if we are going to go back straight there, that we take a little bit of a roundabout in the event that somebody's seen us go in or out of here and tries to tail us. We can hopefully lose them. Like, basically take a circuitous route around to try to lose people, because we've most definitely, between the fire, the thunderous bang, have probably drawn attention. And it'd be easy to follow us back, either from authorities or thugs or whoever.
What about, who knows about our ship? Do any of these people know about our ship? I can't recall if we told anyone necessarily that what our ship was, but if the case is that anyone
actually,
knows,
the opera person who just teleported knows about our place that we're staying at. She came to it with us.
That's right.
To check out the
Yeah,
car.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the ship.
The ship's a better call. And
Okay.
Bastarad will whisper that same prayer, casting Pass Without a Trace on all of us again, just to kind of make sure that we're covering our tracks and keeping any unwanted eyes off of us.
And not to be meta, how many missing hit points are you, Bastarad? Like total. How many are you down?
Oh boy, math is hard. I have 16 out of 52. I'll just say that because I don't want.
Okay.
I will. Oh, you
36 down.
36 down. Okay. So I can restore. Yep. So I'll place my hand on you and pass some of my ether into you and restore you to full with my lay on hands.
Bastarad looks visibly uncomfortable with this method of ether transfer. Like, he seems to be kind of shivering from it. He looks up a little apprehensive, like, are you sure this is the way this is meant to be used? And just kind of like, it feels just cold inside him, but he does feel the wounds seeming to stitch together.
Aether is life force. It does not distinguish between elf or bonekin or dwarf. Life is life.
I just feel like I'm breathing in a dead man's last breath. Anyway, beyond. Let's go. But thank you. Thank you. I do.
Yeah, Harun would nod, and his eye during the whole time his eyes are glowing that ether that the ether elves usually have. And then once he's done, he closes his eyes, and when he opens them again, they're normal, but he does seem spent in the sense that he's given his life essence.
Okay. So, as you are headed to your ship in a roundabout way, I assume, Darian. Darian, this is not the first city you've been to, I wouldn't imagine. And I imagine not all cities are the same, but many elven cities have enough similarities to them that you have no problems kind of navigating the kind of winding pathways here and there. You might have to kind of turn around a few times on a guess, but especially with the help that Bastarat is providing, you don't have anywhere near as many narrow run-ins with the authority as you did before making your way here. It seems like a lot of them are caught up in the day's activities between the race crash and now this scene in this cellar. The Arinivat guards seem to be distracted. So the plan is to head back to the docks. You get back to the docks to find your ship. Your kind of a mid-sized sailing vessel, but it's an airship all the same. Once again, Darian, you spot your friend's ship, also in harbor, the Sinner's Sanctuary. And perhaps surprisingly, you can see that it's being fitted for flight. It's a little unusual because it's only a third of the way through the long night. And most people do not travel during the long night. But they definitely have the look of a crew that is getting ready to weigh anchor, so to speak.
Darian will take notice of that. Be a little bit confused by it. But at least for the time being, he'll kind of make plans to check in, hopefully before they leave. But right now, our own safety and this dwarf that we have captive are Darian's priority. So at least for now, he'll make a mental note and hope to slip away sometime before they go. But that can't happen quite yet.
So, as you guys approach, Darian, I imagine, I don't know if you wear a cloak with a hood or something, but I would imagine you somewhat shield your visage from these crewmen that are kind of hustling and bustling around the docks, and manage to kind of just slip past them without them paying much attention to you. And the six of you, with this unconscious dwarf, manage to slip back on board your vessel. So then what happens?
All right, now the fun begins. So we take this Kazan, we take him down into the cargo hold. And where are the ropes? Oh, no, they're actually in the cargo hold. Never mind, we're good. So we tie him up against a barrel, I suppose. We don't have a chair down there. On the ground is good enough, and then we'll splash a little water on his face. Maybe a little ale. Give him a treat. Nice to wake up to the smell of something you like.
After a moment, he kind of sputters. What are you doing?
Just trying to find out where we can learn a little bit more about your organization.
More talking. Still more talking. You want to know what more?
Well, I suppose I do have more questions than that. I want to know why you hate the world so much that you desire to end it and all those within it, including your charming family, I might add. I've heard that they're wonderful people and they desire your return, but still you seem insistent on ending them and all of us and everything. Why?
My parents are naive. Just as so much of the rest of the world in denial about what is happening all around them. You heard Jazz. You heard what she had to say. Deep down,
I heard her nonsense.
You know it makes sense. You know it to be true. My parents, they do not understand. But what we do is out of love. Love for those of us who are still struggling every day.
It's not out of love, though. You can say that to yourself, try to make yourself feel better, but it's not. It's control. Control is opposite to love. You take away their decision to decide for themselves what they want to do with their lives, how they want to live, if it's worth it. By acting in their stead, you take away their ability to decide. That's not love.
Did you bring me back to this place just to discuss theologies again? Have we not?
No, we brought you back to this place to get information about where the rest of you are hiding.
There weren't very many of us left. The rest of us have gone on to the next phase, if you will call it that. We were the last waiting for the final bit of the Colossiahs bone to come in. You killed the others.
Yep. And this bone is part of the plan? Why do you need it?
It is to be used to bring about the end.
Where is it being kept?
It is being moved into the Down Under.
Where is it now?
Most of it is already there. You're too late already.
Most of it's not all of it.
Where's
the rest?
I pushed Darian aside. What do you mean it's in the Down Under?
You know what I speak of.
I know what you're talking about. I know where you're talking about. What do you mean you've brought this down there?
We have taken the Lord of Light and buried him where he cannot be returned. You will never see the sun again. This world will freeze to death. There. You wanted to know the grand plan? Now you know. So kill me. Get it over with.
How is it that you think you can put something into the Down Under? And that I won't be able to go there? and take it out of this place.
I do not believe that is a concern that the Throes of Sunset needs to have. It's not possible for you to stop what has already started.
Where in the down under is it? And I'm going to manifest a dagger from Shadow in my hand, right in front of his face.
He flinches, but only the faintest of flinches, the kind of flinch that a madman facing death would give. He certainly does not seem to be overly fearful of dying. He extends his neck, kind of raising his chin towards you.
I draw back my arm. And then I hesitate for a moment.
Strike,
and
child.
I glance over my shoulder at Ingvarad.
She really wants to kill this guy a lot. But she thinks that this is not the way that we should do it, and it's definitely not the way that Katya should kill someone. It's like, and so she'll sort of like shake her head.
The look that Katya gives you, you recognize possibly a second too late, is not, she wasn't looking to you for permission. She was looking to you apologetically. And there's a flash and a slash. And I slit his throat.
The blood comes thick and red down the front of his armor, very, very quickly matting his beard as he starts to drown and gurgle. He looks up at you, Katya, and you see a flash of black cross his eyes, like storm clouds, like shadow.
Something interesting will happen as he dies. That shadow that flashes, I imagine, unless there's something that interrupts this, so stop me if it does so, but I'm using one of my features. I see that flash almost like looking into a reflective surface of seeing the storm reflected in my own eyes, but I imagine it sort of drains out, the smoke spilling out and mingling with his blood as it runs down his front. It spills down onto the floor and it begins to coalesce into a shape. And after, or over the course of just a moment, the blood and shadow mix and a specter of shadow rises next to this dwarf. And I imagine, just because it was a dwarf that I killed and I'm a dwarf, that the specter is roughly dwarven sized and shaped. And it steps away from his body and stands next to me. I'm using my Accursed Spectre Warlock feature. If I kill a humanoid, then its spirit rises as a specter. It has +3 temporary hit points. I will roll initiative for it. If that comes to it. It has its own turns. It obeys my verbal commands. I have some attack modifications, but it will only stay until next long rest. So it may not linger long, but it's a display of dominance and possibly peeling back the curtain a little bit further to those around me into something that they've never seen from Katya.
As a part of the summoning of this entity, when its spirit kind of rose up out of the pool of blood, you could see these hands clawing at it, reaching for it, like trying to stop it from getting away. There's probably 100 sets of these little clawed, taloned hands that kind of reach out, made of this guy's blood, just more shapes than anything else, reaching at this specter as it forms and then dying back down into the blood as it gets away.
Why did you kill him? We weren't done.
Katya, what is that thing? Let him rest. Stop this.
I turn to face all of you, looking first to Darian and then to Bastrad. My eyes are nothing but black smoke. The black shadow that always curls up off of me in the form of this protective layer seems to have grown thick and seems to roil off maybe a little bit thicker. And with a dark edge to my voice, I turn to you first, Darian. There was nothing more he was going to tell us.
How about where their base is? How about where the rest of Belorion was? We didn't even ask. We didn't even try.
It doesn't matter. It's in the down under.
Not all of it.
If it's there, I'll find it. He was not going to tell us anything more.
Ingrid's going to
You
walk
don't
forward
know
and
that.
slap Katya in the face.
I'm gonna try to check something. Okay. I think she falters for a moment.
Who are you? What is this? This is not you.
It's who I've been.
No, it's not. This, she like points at this like hideous spirit, is not who you are. This is cruelty beyond necessity. It's darkness.
It's not cruel. It's not. And I actually kick at the foot of the dead dwarf. It's not him.
When you do that, the spirit turns its head slightly towards you.
Well, it's not all him. And you heard what he said. All of this is in the down under. That's where I'm at home. That's where this, just sort of generally indicating all of this shadow, that's where this comes from.
You have been there. Does not excuse this cruel murder. He was tied down. You cut his throat, and then you raise his soul as some demon? Who are you? I don't recognize you.
Death should be the end, Katya. Let this poor dwarf rest.
I didn't bring him here. It just happened. I didn't summon him. I killed him because it was where it was going to go anyway. There was no situation in which we were not going to kill him. Bastarad, you were moments away from doing it yourself. You're lying if you say you weren't. And it would be you, Ingvarad, would be yelling at.
It should be me that Ingvarad is yelling at. Don't you understand?
No.
You're young. You have a chance still.
I'm young. I'm not stupid.
Yes, you are.
You're being
None of
very
you know.
stupid
None
right
of you know anything of the Down Under. Have any of you ever stepped foot into hell? No. You don't know what it is like down under there. And you may have to, if we are going to stop whatever this is. I've never understood the Colossiahs. I've never understood your infatuation with them. But I cared because you cared. And I saw what you could do believing in them. I'm not saying I don't believe, I don't know. But all I see is people being hurt, people being tortured, being killed over these bones that you care so much about. And now these things are being brought down into the place of the dwarves, into the Down Under. Whether it's doing anything, it can't be good. And the reason it can't be good is because it's going to draw all of you there. And if we are going to go there, I can no longer hide. I can no longer hide from whatever it is from the Down Under that gives me these powers. You only complain, Ingvarad, when it manifests in something you don't understand. You don't complain when I use my powers to help us in a fight. You didn't complain when I used my powers to help me win the race. You don't complain except when you don't understand it. You lash out. I don't understand where your power comes from. But I certainly don't condemn you when you wield your magic, your power against our enemies.
My power doesn't do anything I don't expect. It doesn't control me, doesn't make me speak in a weird voice, doesn't turn my eyes black, doesn't seem to change who I am as a person. Yours seems to possess you. It's entirely different. And that's why it frightens me.
It doesn't.
Because you are dear to me, and I don't want anything terrible to happen to you. And it seems to be happening to you every day more.
Not possessing me. It's...
You just said you didn't do this.
A part of me. I didn't will it into existence. I didn't decide to extract this man's spirit.
That's the point. You didn't decide and it happened. That's what's scary. That's the entire thing that Ingvarad is saying. You didn't do this and yet it is here. That means that you don't control it. In fact, I do remember us complaining about your powers because you've almost killed us so many times with it.
I didn't say you didn't complain about my powers. I said the opposite, that's all you do is complain.
No, you said we don't complain. We only complain when we don't understand. I do understand. I've seen you almost kill Kalp. I've seen you almost kill Ingvarad, almost kill me with your magic multiple times. And yes, sometimes it's helped, but sometimes it's almost killed us. I understand that much. I don't know where it came from. I don't need to. I've seen what it can do. And what it can do is scary sometimes.
If I divine smite this spirit, will it vanish?
Stand over here, behind me. I command the spirit. Move away from them.
Katya, at least I know I'm making a mistake when I'm being a monster. This is not what you are.
Do you smell that? Do you smell the burning wood and flesh still in our hair still on our clothes. You see the singed robes? My hair. The end, it's shorter because of fire.
I recall you choosing to run into that fire.
I'm not complaining that I ran through the fire. I can take the fire. You ran from it because you know that you can't. Ingvrad, look at Bastarad. Did you know that you were going to do that to Bastarad when you summoned all that fire? That you would burn down a building? How is that any different from what I'm doing with Shadow? You almost killed Bastarad back there.
I've explained it to you many times why it's different. Many, many times. All of these people have made decisions. I didn't force any of them into this. Nor... I choose what happens when I ask the gods. This is different. This thing rose without your say-so. This has happened before. You've lost control of yourself and done things that were frightening.
This isn't a loss of control. This is something new. And something that is under my control. You see? It stands next to me because I told it to.
Haroon's eyes glow with ether, and his hands, ether begins to wisp off of it. I'm going to cast sleep at Katya's direction, and I rolled a total of 32 hit points. So creatures within 20 feet of a point of your choosing within range are affected in ascending order of their current hit points. And starting with the creature that has the lowest current HP, each creature affected by this spell falls unconscious until the spell ends.
Was something supposed to happen when you do this? I look around. The specter stays. You said 23 HP, right?
32.
Oh, 32. Hold on a second. Does it say they fall asleep or unconscious?
It says each creature affected by this spell falls unconscious until the spell ends.
All right, it's immune to unconscious. It doesn't say immune to being magically put to sleep, but it does have condition immunities to unconscious. So I guess that's your rule, Jeremy.
Were you targeting Katya or the spirit? The spirit.
Spirit has lower hit points than I do, so
it moves from one to the other. So,
yeah. So it wouldn't affect it if it's immune to unconscious.
It's immune to pretty much every condition.
It wouldn't affect it, but it would affect Katya. So right. if she has less than 32 hit points, she would fall asleep.
I have plenty more than that.
Figured that was probably the case. Yeah. So. Neither of your targets seem to be influenced by this magic.
Send it away, Katya. Let it go.
I gotta see if I can even do that. I don't think I can. But that's not what I say. No. I'm not going to. It is not hurting anything. It is an aid to me. It is an extension of myself and my abilities.
Katya, I can't pretend to know what you've been through down there, but I can tell you I've had hell invade my dreams since before my wife left, and I know at least some of what you faced down there.
Because you had trouble sleeping at night because you dreamt of hell? That's... Look, if I had not have killed him, you would have killed him. And I don't think we would be standing around here debating whether or not it was right for you to do so.
This has nothing to do with whether or not that man lived or died.
No, it's
You-
again.
I
it's
think you were
it's about
right.
who I am. It's about me
You
showing.
were right to kill him, but the way you did it.
Should I have untied him and tied a blindfold around his eyes, gave him some tobacco to smoke?
Don't
You killed the
pretend
man.
you don't see this darkness.
How
Not to
long
mention,
have we been together?
logistically, it's just a poor idea. People are going to know that he's gone. They're going to find out that he's dead. They're going to know that he was seen here. Even if you take away all the choice and the darkness, it was a bad idea to kill him right now on our ship, where there is now a lot of blood on our ship. We could have taken him somewhere else. We could have gotten more information out of him.
He's not the first person to die on this ship.
He's the first person from a city which has guards, which have people who will know, who has family who is looking for him, family that you talked to, who you killed this man without even trying to worry about. Are you going to tell them, or are you just going to let them sit, never knowing that their son is dead because of you? Did you even think about that? Or were
No,
you
I
too
didn't
busy
think about
getting...
it because I was thinking about the fact that because of Ingvarad and Bastarad, we have been chasing all over through the darkness to figure out what is going on with these Colossiah bones, chasing from one hoarder to the next.
Can you send it away?
And suddenly you are putting me on trial because I have a power that is given to me by something you don't understand.
Can you send it away?
I don't want to send it away.
Can you?
I don't want to.
Can you?
I'm not going to.
Whether or not, to me, is not important. The important part is you made a drastic decision without asking any of us. Darkness or not, that's the part that concerns me. That we're going into serious business and everyone around here is just casting spells and making decisions willy-nilly, not even talking to anybody else. People casting sleep spells, people summoning shadows and killing people. No communication. Everyone's just sitting here, just making their own decisions, just doing their own thing, not asking any questions, not making sure anyone's on the same page. All of you are doing this. Ingvarad did it, casting fire out of nowhere. You did it now, killing this person. Haroon casting spells too.
Bastarad started that whole thing in the basement.
I don't care who started it. I don't care.
I waited till I had
any of
approval.
that. The important thing is, if we're going to do anything, and it sounds like we are, if we're going to literally go into hell to try to recover God's bones from demons, we need to work together and talk before we make crazy decisions. That's the part that I'm mad about. I don't care about any of this shadow magic shit.
You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that.
Why are you looking at me? I'm not apologizing. I'm not sorry.
No, because you're a child. You never apologize. Nothing's ever your fault. You never take blame or responsibility for any of the things that you do. And now you refuse to answer a simple question. This thing, which apparently you have control over, can you send it away? Can you get rid of it?
We're in the cargo hold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I lean over to the specter and I say quietly to it, go over through the door and go up to the top deck of the ship and wait for me. And as it walks away, there, I've sent it away.
You are a child.
What? It is walking away.
You're a child, Katya, and I'm done with this.
By the way, I had a 6 on my deception check trying to with that little exchange about whether or not I could actually get rid of it.
Ingrid will turn to Darian again and quietly apologize, and then she's going to leave this conversation because she's going to hit Katya if this doesn't end soon.
Yeah, and the spirit kind of floating a few inches above the floor, just kind of as it kind of just floats towards the stairs, up them, and onto the upper deck.
If Ingrid leaves, I'm not saying anything to anybody else, and I'm going to go with the spirit, and we're going to find some place to sulk quietly.
Right before she leaves, Katya or Bastrad will just say to Katya, I'm sorry if I've ever underestimated you or treated you as less powerful or important than you may be. And he'll say it very genuinely, just a very kind, like trying to be kind as she exits.
She just gives you a look and just turns and walks away. And unless anything interrupts it or anybody comes and looks for her, I think in the same way that an angsty teen would, I was going to say like pour everything out into a journal, but I think in this case, probably closer would be akin to, talking to a beloved pet or something like that. Katya is just unloading everything onto this poor spirit that has no choice but to sit there and listen. And at some point, the exhaustion of the day would start to settle in. And as she would probably start to grow tired, I imagine this thing would just sort of, the shadow would start to disintegrate, and it would spill to the ground and just sort of, because it only stays until I take a long rest and then it goes away.
And though no one may see it, Katya being unconscious now and having isolated herself, we are able to see that as the shadow kind of falls to the ground and begins to dissipate, that the last thing that we see is that shadow taking the shape once again of these small clawed hands reaching up and kind of pulling the remainder of it through the deck and disappearing. So, while Katya has sequestered herself for essentially at least an hour, what are the rest of you doing in the meantime? What is the plan going forward from this point?
Darian will, sorry, go.
Oh, I was going to say, Bastrad has gone to work putting the body of this dwarf into an empty barrel in the cargo hold, and he's started the process of scrubbing the blood off of the floor to at least try to clean this cargo hold up a bit so that if anyone does come on board, we are not immediately thrown in jail.
No, I will stop you from putting it in a barrel. I will actually prepare this body and put it into whatever we may have, linens or burlap wrap or whatever it is. I will return this dwarf to his family. He at least deserves that.
That seems extremely unwise, unless you're planning on doing it anonymous. which is also kind of, I must say, messed up.
This dwarf may be a shitbag, but his parents were good people. They deserve to know. I'll go with you, Haroon.
Thank you.
Bastard just looks at you guys with like disbelief that you're about to go like what he thinks is like go essentially to go turn yourselves in for this dwarf's murder. But he'll just continue scrubbing the deck to try to get these bloodstains out.
So, the two of you ferry this corpse across town. You probably will have to hire a carriage, or at least a wagon or cart, to get you there. But it's easy to find from the docks. There's plenty of that kind of traffic coming and going constantly. And you arrive back under the guidance of Darian, since he's been there before. You arrive back at the residence where Darian and Katya had eaten the night before. A family known as the Skovaroda family. And when you knock on the door, the elder, Bakazan, Bakazan the Fifth, is the one who answers the door. This short, stooped, but very broad-shouldered dwarf with this fissure of a scar running down the side of his face that has burnt edges, and his beard and hair have long since grayed, part of it even kind of having a silver tone to it. How can I help you? Oh, young Darian. You return so soon.
Yeah, I imagine the look on Darian's face will quickly dispel any of the pleasantries, and he'll just kind of like lean in. There's something we need to talk to you about, just very sternly and solemnly.
You can see he kind of looks past you and sees the bundle on the wagon. He kind of looks back to you, and you can see already the pool of moisture in his eyes starting to gather. The mustache kind of quivers just for a moment, and he nods his head. Give me 1 moment, please. He kind of excuses himself from the door, forgetting to shut it behind him. And you hear the dwarf speaking to what must be his wife in the other room for a moment. And after a brief moment, he returns. Please, come in. And he moves past you to go retrieve the bundle from the wagon.
Yeah, Darian will just as delicately as he can, and with genuine sorrow that he has to do that. Like he genuinely likes these people. Will explain, not in all the specific details, exactly in the fact that Katya was the one that did it, in basically what was cold blood murder. I would basically say that there was an incident when they were trying to find him at this place that it got violent, and that he ended up dying in the scuffle, but that Darian thought they deserved to know.
He nods in the kind of affirmation that shows he understands, and it takes him a few times. He kind of starts to speak and can't find the words, and stammers. And finally, when he does, it will crush my wife. You understand? I knew that he was up to no good. Involved with bad people. My poor boy.
Ideas have a way of stealing people's minds. Dangerous ideas are all the more potent at it. Your son was a good kid, but he wasn't acting in his own beliefs. He had been taken by ideas. I'm sorry.
He reaches out his hand towards you, Darian. And if you take his hand, he places his other on the back of yours. Thank you for bringing him home to us.
My friend here, and I'll point over to Haroon. He's good with this sort of thing. If you have your own customs, I won't impose, but he can help to make sure that it'll just kind of like gesture, trying to struggle to find the words to basically say like Haroon can like bless the corpse or do whatever he needs to do, unless dwarves have their own way of dealing with it.
Yeah, so typically dwarves have a very elaborate, very bizarre funeral practice when they are in dwarven cities. I won't really go into it right now, but when they're away from dwarven cities, they typically resort to funeral pyres. So most cities will have a place that's appropriate for dwarves to live, dwarves that live there in order to conduct such a ceremony. And he'll turn to Haroon, and he says, "We have our own customs, but I also thank you for your offer."
I understand. And he will reach behind and he pulls out a coin purse. And he would have filled it with equivalent of to whatever Katya's earnings would have been from the race that was earlier that day. Your son may have strayed from the path, but he is not condemned. His soul is saved. It is not much, but it is his, and it is only right that it be given back to you. And he just hands over the purse. I hope that this, although cannot bring back your son, I hope that it will help you and your family.
He takes the purse from you and begins to kind of sob quietly. And you can see his shoulders kind of hitching as he kind of blubbers a bit. He takes the purse from you and gets the body situated on a nearby table where they can begin their their customs. And he kind of escorts you both back to the door. And when you're there, he kind of leaves you with the parting of, "I thank both of you again very much for the respect you have shown my family. It will not be soon forgotten. I know that your paths may lie down a dark place. You should be careful, please. Take the blessing of my fathers and my grandfathers before them.
Thank you. Thank you for your hospitality. Is there, and forgive me if I'm stepping out of place, but is there something of your son's that we could take to remember him by? We knew him briefly, but
He nods and thinks for a moment and then steps away, leaving you at the door. After a while, he comes back with this folded cloth.
This was Kazan's. It is traditional for the members of a clan to wear their colors. This was his from when he was just a boy. He did not care to wear the clan colors, but he was a Skovoroda all the same. It should go with you.
taking it in hand, I thank you. Come, Darian, we must be going.
Darian will look back to the dwarf. Are you sure it's okay if we leave you? I don't want to intrude, but you shouldn't be alone unless you want to be. I know there's a lot that you're going through right now.
I must speak with Navarid and tell her that our son is dead. It is a conversation that I need to have with her alone.
I understand. Best of luck to you, genuinely. I wish you and your family well, as best as it can be.
And with that, you depart his company. He closes the door slowly and quietly. Is the plan to return to the ship?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to figure out what we're going to do now. That was kind of a very big unresolved point from beforehand. So Darian will just kind of give Haroon this look as they pass back of like, that dwarf may have been trouble, but those people didn't deserve that. And we'll just kind of let that, unless Haroon says anything, we'll just kind of let that somberness and that look kind of weigh on the walk home.
Yeah, I think you would just know that Haroon agrees with you in that sentiment there. But yeah, I think it would just be like a somber walk back. Not too many more words could be spoken about such thing.
Okay. So, if we want to settle on a battle plan before we wrap up the session, which may not be a good place, or we may not be a bad place to end on, maybe we can just discuss this metagame out of character, kind of what you guys want to do, what you're looking towards kind of moving in the direction of, and we can just make a plan for next time. So what are you guys thinking?
we have to go to hell to save the world. I would think what we might do is spend some of our unlimited money before we get there, gear up with the best shit that we can find, and then try and go there, wherever it is. I don't know where it is.
Well, I think with the GM's hint there that other ship was going to leave in the dark.
Yeah,
we may follow that ship, I guess, if that is, that ship may be going where we need to go, I guess.
it might just be straight down, but
Yeah, right.
So here's since we're out of character, I'm going to drop a pun. A Katya 22 situation. Katya probably knows the best ways to access the Down Under. However, I don't think Katya really has any true sense of where she is in the world. So unless there's specific geological signs that she would look for, if it relies on knowing a specific location, we might be screwed in that sense. But if there's anything like I said, if it's based on geological features or any other kind of senses, then well, I guess she would have to be willing to. I don't even think she wouldn't fight against that, because there's no question she was pretty clear on the fact that that's where we got to go to.
Yeah, and so all dwarves, they descend or delve into the Down Under. That's where they mine brimstone and the precious metals. So any dwarven city has access to the Down Under. And all dwarven cities are built on the edge horizon, which is literally the edge of the world. And they, from within their citadels, which extend down as well as up, they rappel down the side of the world, literally, and then mine straight into the side of hell. So any dwarven city would have access.
right. So I guess we want to get shopping real quick. I imagine it's okay, listen, here's what we got to do. We've got no time. People are going to try and find us. They know where we are. Get in there. Buy all the cool shit you can, like armor, ammo, all the stuff that we need. I don't know, whatever you need in hell. Get back on the ship and go follow the other one. I think is probably our best bet.
So, not to throw too much of a wrench into things, but the other ship, the one that's leaving, is Alia's ship, correct? Because there's a decent chance, if it's going to take up too much time or throw a huge spanner into the works, then we can find a way around it. But Darian was probably going to sneak off in the night to go try to find her at the ship after that, kind of after the chaos of everything. But if we're going to follow the ship, then that might change that, especially if it's made known that that's the intent.
I imagine it's probably at the very least brought up at some point when the five of you, or whatever combination of you, are actually forming this plan. So I'll leave it to you, whether you're going to do so or not.
And I'm guessing that Bastaradis and Ingarad are content in leaving their daughter/niece in the Elven dance school.
No fucking way. Not after that.
I was just going to say, I'm a little worried about it now that Jazz is fucking out there still. I really want to hunt her down. She's my main concern right now.
Because if she was involved, then it's possible the whole academy's involved. Never follow the money.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that. I think she she just got forced out of the academy. I don't think they would have forced her out if they were part of the cult that she seems pretty high up involved in. So I see them as a potential protecting force. The one thing I was thinking the whole time we were fighting was Bastrad would be at least hey, at least this lady was trained by the people that are training my daughter, like, because she's kind of kicking my ass right now. So maybe she's like, maybe they actually know what they're doing. So I don't know.
The
I'm a
only
little-
question is, was Jazz privy to the knowledge that we left Vidaros there? I don't remember if that came up in conversation or not. Because if it didn't, then I think that she's actually pretty safe there. But if she does know, then that's a pretty obvious pain point.
She doesn't.
I don't
yeah.
I don't remember if that came up or not.
I don't think we mentioned it, and she was already kind of ousted by the time we got Vidaros in, right? So she wouldn't know that was she was involved with us, I guess. I mean, it was a bonekin that showed up around the same time as the two bonekin that tried to kill her, but
Probably
The problem is, what do? We
I know,
can't take her to hell with us.
yeah, I really don't want to. I really just want to leave her here, but now I'm worried about it. I didn't even start.
Leave her someplace where she might be in a possible danger, or take her someplace where she's probably going to die.
right.
I'm gonna trust those blade singers to like train her well. That lady that we left her in the care of seems on top of it.
Okay.
Maybe we like go. Actually, maybe Bastrad will like take the evening while people are shopping and trying to outfit us for the evening to just go let the blade singer know that like Jazz is bad news, and that they might need to like keep an eye out. Because I know I'm pretty good at moving unfollowed, so I want to make sure that nobody knows about that. So I just like to maybe just give her a warning so that she knows. Not Vidaros, but her teacher.
Her teacher. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll probably pick up that scene. Well, it's fine. Like, we don't need to roleplay through it. It's just you're just doing the warning.
Yeah. No, that's just that's all I needed.
Okay. And then Jeff, did you know how you wanted to handle the situation with your friend? We don't have to do that tonight, but
yeah. Darian at this point is probably being fairly flustered by everything. Would just know that it's her ship and just like walk up and ask whoever's in charge to speak, that he wants to speak with her. It probably isn't his usual subtlety, just kind of between everything that's already happened and then the previous bond that he has with that person. I imagine it would just be as direct and simple as that.
okay. The sailor that you happen to kind of run into and make your demand of informs you that she and some of the rest of the crew are actually in the tavern, and he kind of hikes his thumb in that way. And the tavern is called the Windward Knickers. You can see it seems to be, from the sound of it, a fairly, well, the kind of place you would expect to find in a dock. A pretty rowdy place.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily have to do that scene right this second, but he'll
do that next time.
Plan to do that next time, yeah. And he'll go try to look for them, especially while the others are shopping. Darian's kind of got most of the supply that he needs, unless people find some crazy stuff, in which case they can just buy it for him. But that'll kind of be his plan while other people are doing that.
Okay, cool. So we will handle that next time. And in addition, I will give you guys the running total of what you have in the cargo hold as far as capital, and then we can take care of shopping before next session. Cool. So we see this sailor kind of thumb in the direction of this place. Darian kind of turns that direction and we pull back away from Darian as he's kind of walking off. We see the two ships docked not that far from one another. We pull back to see once more the glistening, glowing lights of Arinivat upon its ascended isle as we disappear into the darkness of the long night. All right, we're going to call it there. Thank you very, very much, everybody. That was a fantastic session. Everybody take a point of inspiration, please. You guys nailed these intense emotional scenes tonight. So
are we mechanically taking a long rest before next session?
Well,
I mean, if we're going to jump in the middle of the night, then I won't assume that.
Yeah, because it's entirely possible that it could matter depending on how the meeting goes with Darian. And
would you say that when I went away sulking, that at least an hour had passed?
Yes, absolutely. Enough for a short rest at the very least.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the only reason I hesitated because, like, if all you're doing is resting, then you're probably going to get at least half a night's sleep or whatever. It sounded like it was happening kind of right in the middle of the night.
As a warlock, I'm more concerned about the short rest.
Well, there you go. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this evening. I had a phenomenal time getting back to these characters. I love the weight that all of you bring to the situations where your characters find themselves at a crossroads. It's awesome that we're able to kind of straddle that line of morality throughout this whole session, throughout this whole campaign. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things about this game. So thank you very, very much. Anybody who mentioned a channel, you should be able to find the link to that in the description of the video down below. I'm going to pass it off to you guys so you can do any kind of outro, whatnot, if you would like. So we will start with Jake.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm Jake from Mini Terrain Domain. You can catch me on YouTube and YouTube and Twitch under that name. Thursday nights, you can catch me DMing for Jeremy and a few others in the Dawnbringers campaign. And starting this Friday, which is, I think, the 7th or 8th, whatever day that is, I'm starting a brand new crafting stream on the YouTube channel that will precede Alan running his Curse of Strahd game. I'm not going to run into that, but I'm going to lead up to it and then hopefully turn the audience over to you. So tune in for that.
Nice, dude. That sounds awesome. I'm going to have to try to catch some of those. I'm assuming you're going to put those on VOD later?
They're going to be live on YouTube, so they'll go straight to VOD.
Perfect. Sounds exciting. Okay, next up we have Jeff.
I'm Jeff. You can see my own stuff as part of Tabletop Terrors on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. And super fun session. Got a little dark there for a little bit of it, but in a fun way. Looking forward to seeing how all that'll resolve or not resolve.
There aren't consequences. Not in this game.
None.
All right. Next up, we have. Oh my God. Austin. I completely brain farted. I looked at your face, was about to say your name, and then I turned my eyes up, and everybody's in a different position, and it completely screwed with my wiring.
Fair enough. Well, other than that, that was a great game. Thanks so much. Super fun to play with you guys as always. There were a whole bunch of great moments from that, and so I had a blast. And I don't really have anything to plug, so I will plug like movies, but longer and made of words. So thanks everybody. That was super fun.
Fantastic. All right. Next up, we have Lloyd.
Hello. That was great. It's always great. Real difficult. Really felt like we were going to fight each other there for a bit, which is fantastic. And yeah, it's always a pleasure playing with Alan, Jeff, Jake, Jeremy, and that other guy.
I mean, that's fair.
It's gonna be a while.
I take
before
no
I let that
offense at it.
Last but certainly not least, whatever your name is. No, Alan.
Hey guys, yeah, had a wonderful time. Definitely love the character development and growth, and I mean, I like that it's not that like, okay, we're just gung ho and all the mission. There is a question there, like, why am I being dragged across the world when I don't even agree 100% with your own beliefs? That's real character stuff. That's, you know, so that's always great to experience versus just the, hey, this is a game and we're supposed to go here, so let's do this. And that's what I like about this game. Outside of that, yeah, my name is Alan. You can catch me on YouTube at CFT RPG and Twitter and all that good stuff, and on Fridays over on Mini Terrain Domain Twitch channel running Curse of Strahd. So catch me there in 2 days. Okay, that's it.
Excellent. Once again, thank you very, very much, everyone, for tuning in this evening and watching along with us, or tuning in the future and giving us a watch that way. Once again, you guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much for bringing this game to life. This is the first full foray into Momentum, and you guys are setting the bar extremely high for this campaign setting. So thank you very much for doing that. Yeah, love you guys. So, till next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.